well, first of the year, January planning meeting. We need a roll call or all present. We're all present. I could have you review the minutes that's submitted on your documents. Entertain motions for acceptance.
Motion to approve.
Motion to have a second.
Second.
Second, thank you. All those in favor of approving the minutes as submitted, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? No. Full business,
Mr.
DR
President,
Horton.
before we get into anything substantive, we do need to elect officers.
Elect officers.
Before, you have a president, a vice president, and a secretary. The secretary does not need to be one of seven. It would be appropriate if the commission would like to just nominate the same slate of people and vote on that, or you or whoever can accept nominations for president.
Okay. Hearing that, we do need to.
I'll make the motion that we retain the current officers for the Plan Commission for 2024.
All right, I have a motion to retain the current officers as seated. Do I have a second or the individual nominations? You second? Okay. All those in favor of retaining the officers as currently seated, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. Okay. Whole business is DR Horton, petition 2023-1. They have requested a continuance to the February meeting. We do have to vote on that. I will make a motion that we continue the meeting to the February, continue their petition to the February meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor of continuing DR Horton's petition to February, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Thank you. Okay, new business amendments to the bike pedestrian master plan, thoroughfare master plan, and the interchange master plan.
Not the UDL. Stephanie, skip to the next page, please. Okay, so as you know, we got some funding from MCOG and the state to do some preliminary engineering on the Business Park Trail, which is a 10-foot wide asphalt path, or a Sharrow on the road, sidewalks on either side of the street study that basically goes from Starbucks all the way over to Taylor Street and up Main. So they suggested that we modify as needed our right fit plan to kind of reflect that. It already pretty much does. But the only thing that it's missing is on Taylor, it shows that the best route or use would just be Sharrow's painted on the road. We're actually looking to put sidewalks there too. So just to justify that later.
Proposed,
Yes.
and that's the existing.
No, this is something different.
Oh,
This is
okay.
a description page.
Okay.
Yeah. So circled in red there, you'll see it's existing yellow line, but it's the blue lines, and then next we'll get to the description, which I will update. So this is section 4 in the bike pit plan. So I'm basically just going to update this little description to reflect what we have found is the best route so far in our.
So how is the creek crossing being handled?
Well, we've got one over the Rosa Fry, and then we have an old iron bridge that the reformatory gave us decades ago. That's going over Fall Creek Drive to Taylor.
So that is incorporated in that left.
Yeah, there's a
hand
red.
span.
There's a red checker that signifies a bridge crossing of some sort. It'll just be whatever we can retrofit onto that iron bridge that we have already.
So this is the study. Is funding also available to construct this or support it?
Not yet.
So about your purchase there?
Huh?
Tell them about your purchase.
Oh, yes, the town has purchased that triangle property that you see, where Mill Road is on the northwest and then Taylor's on the south. That's a 90% floodway property anyway. So it'll be a parklet trailhead. Probably it'll have some sidewalks and things like that. For right now, I think we're just leaving it as it is. might let a nonprofit use the house there for temporary purposes. And I also think that there's some natural wildflower sections growing on that property as well. So
what piece of property is that?
it's the triangle property here. right
The
here.
north-
So
northeast
Mill
corner.
Road and Taylor.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just has a single family
Yeah.
house on it, but
Yeah.
RDC purchased the property, cause it's not.
Yeah.
For permanent structures. You
Yeah,
can put
there
a
is,
gazebo on
there is
there,
some
but-
stuff. grows
There's been
around.
3 feet of water in that house.
Yeah.
Okay, well, gazebo with a lot of rooms.
Yeah, I mean, the house probably isn't livable.
It's pretty rough.
I don't think it is.
I do have a quick question.
Sure, yeah.
So that map in the PED plan, if you look at the legend, it says the dark red dash is a pedestrian underpass. So we're
Oh,
showing, we're
underpass?
showing an underpass under Fall Creek there. it looks
Oh,
like.
that's not, yeah.
And an underpass under the interstate. even. So
It takes a lot of funding to do
that is expensive.
Is the orange one pedestrian bridge?
is.
Okay, well, you know what? I will
So-
update those colors too
Just need
then.
to switch around. I don't
Yeah.
even think we have any underpasses proposed unless there's one. over by
The
school.
only one that was ever proposed, at least with this business park trail, as an alternative route was, by the Legion around that area
Oh, I see.
to get the, connection from the mobile home park down to, State Street. But that wasn't really considered a super viable option because of how expensive they are. But I will change these to the.
You can't get NDOT to build one at CVS for free. or anything like that.
Just out of curiosity, Goshen has several of those underpasses.
Mhm, yeah.
On their trail.
Yeah, and they're floodable, which is nice.
Actually, I've never been there when they have flooded.
Yeah.
Because they seem to be pretty well drained,
Yeah.
but wide enough to support both pedestrian and bike traffic.
Mhm.
And I don't know how they funded it, but that may be a viable option with the reconstruction of 967 and or 38.
Could be.
So were you thinking that triangle property will be a trailhead eventually?
Yeah.
Because there's an icon for trailheads and there's not one on that triangle.
There is an icon for trailhead.
Yeah, that's red circular dot. There's one down there at the golf course.
We can put that there.
So maybe add a trailhead there.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that's one that will be, there will be another trailhead, which I can put on here if you want me to. It's right here. Is where MCOG is having us.
Is that where the bridge is sitting right now?
So I can put that there too, if you'd like. I don't know what their specifications are for a
The town
trailhead.
owns that property. right?
Yes,
So that
they
doesn't necessarily matter.
The only thing with that triangle property, as far as the marking it a trailhead there, that is something construction wise, that's 100% on the town. The other one would be with that 80-20 split or whatever kind of funding we get from, because they, because we had asked if it could be on Mill Road, but the access to it is not adequate, so putting it on Fall Creek is.
So
is
maybe
where
it
they're
should,
gonna put it.
since it's gonna go through that, maybe we should add it to the plan just so it's
Yeah,
official.
I can definitely add
The
both
one
of
on the
those.
west side.
Yeah, I can add both of those. It's just, one will be
Oh,
funded one
I
way.
opened the pet plan itself.
Oh, I'm like,
I
can't see
the
key.
So then I'll go ahead and just update this description, following this to reflect those.
And it's probably easier just to update the legend, just flip them.
Yeah,
Then
oh, I
try to,
definitely could,
then try to change all the colors.
because I don't know who has this Adobe file.
Yeah.
That'll be fun to find out. Okay, so good with those as discussed? Okay. Next, we have our thoroughfare plan. So this is just a few things. I know that we have talked about 146th Street extension. Rescue and I are having a few meetings about this in the next, couple of weeks to solidify this, but just a few things in the meantime that I would like to amend is the first one is adding this green dashed line on this section of 146th Street extension. It's not very clear. It looks like it's supposed to be a local roadway there, and it's not.
So that's a-
That's the heavy dash line.
So proposed secondary arterial.
Yeah, it's supposed to be there. It's described as such, but it's not reflected in this graphic as such. So, so the only real addition, as far as kind of not just a minor graphic scrivener's error, is the Candlewood Drive extension. This is something that has not been talked about a lot. The property there, the Bagley property or South Madison Community Foundation, that's what that parcel of land is meant to be used for, and that only. So I think adding that in here, so we have that justification for any sort of potential funding that comes up or development that occurs. Should the park either develop it themselves or sell it, we need to have that on there, and that is meant to be a collector designation. And then adding just the north-south, obviously not straight, but from Fall Creek Drive up to Candlewood through the park. Eventually that will be a road of some sort, because right now it's just a private kind of driveway. There's no right of way through there. So that's really the only thing I want to add to the map, and then add a project description, project action item. So those start on page 74. So that's just a description of what that is, what it'll be used for, and why it's important. Any questions on that one?
So is there still thought of trying to figure out how to get from Candlewood to the ballpark?
Yes, and that's what that north-south local road would be. I don't know what that looks like exactly, if that means kind of recalibrating their parking lot and making an actual road, dedicating some right of way through there. I'm not really sure, because it's driving and then parking and then driving and then parking, so it's a little complicated. But I know when the Roush Coleman was in here, if you remember last year, no, 2 years ago now, they were going to build that as a collector style road and then stub it off before it hit the parking lot for the football fields, because we didn't quite know how to calibrate that. And they didn't want to connect it without figuring out the safest way to get people through there, not have parking and kids running around and all of that. It's really just a glorified driveway right now. It's not.
I don't think this map accurately shows that there's really not a connection across the railroad track from Madison Avenue. The purple under 38.
Yes.
I don't think we should be showing that to look like it connects over. Or we should have it an asterisk that,
You mean right here?
So you mean this little
Yes.
piece right here? We should just trim that little gray line out?
but I feel like
I
we
can
should
put a
have,
note there that says closed.
Emergency access
yeah,
only, it's not
yes.
closed.
I feel like something
Yeah.
needs designated,
Yeah.
because when you look at a map, that's a huge section from 38 all the way down to whatever the road is through country. Well, actually,
Oh,
that
Broadway.
end is Broadway
Yeah.
or Country Estates.
Yeah.
That's a big section to. That's what is
So-
it? The south. Is that southeast quadrant?
Yeah,
So when
I can add that.
Howard was here,
Mhm.
they proposed a connection onto 67, right? Where
Correct.
grade was close, maybe that should be added.
Yeah.
That way,
We
if
can
that
do that.
property,
That would be an extension of Indiana over to 67, and it would likely be a local.
yeah.
Yeah, I can just extend that and put that there, because I do think that I don't
And
know
that
if
one's
and when they'll come
Indiana,
back, but I think there was already discussions of where
But
on that property there was a good grade, a flat grade.
Yeah, there's a spot there where the railroad and the
Yes.
67 is all kind of
It's
flat.
flat,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. I'll just put that on there. We know it's not engineered, but it's something,
This is conceptual.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah, certainly.
And then you're gonna put a note that says emergency vehicles only, something
Yeah.
like that.
And so this Indiana extension would be a dashed local line, so I can change that Candlewood one to a dashed as well, since it doesn't actually exist yet. Okay, anything else? Right now? But just know that we're looking into that 146th Street extension as it goes through the Gaines property and the Foster's Ridge and then over to the Smith properties and looking for a more cohesive route to get 146 to 38, but still have access through the Gates property down to 650. So once that changes in here and we kind of get better idea, we'll also update it in the I-69 plan to reflect that, especially because there is potentially something being rezoned there right now. It's obviously not got the 146 through the extension running through the middle of it. And Mr. Gaines is anxious to get developing on this property. So having that kind of idea would be important. So anything else on this one? Okay.
Looks like Apple Maps.
Yes, ma'am.
North,
67th Street extension.
Yes, that's the 67th or 73rd Street. It goes by many names extension. That's a primary arterial designation. The northern part is once it hits, I believe, Old 132, it becomes into town. But no, that hasn't been. Because there's a development going on. Sure.
nothing's been set in stone there, land. That's just a thought or conceptual. I think the reason we did that, Anderson started that coming from the north.
Correct.
They tried to figure out how to come down and connect around to us. It's been stymied for years. Anderson doesn't have the money, and we're not gonna do it if the road goes to nowhere, so. Right, but I know you do. Yeah. Comes right through your field.
They never sell it after it's built.
I will say I just looked on that maps, like Apple Maps, and they don't even have that railroad crossing listed on here either to cross across from Engle Road. It's just totally gone on the map. For
They
not for the
really-
satellite imagery, but yeah, when you zoom in, it just has 38 in the road curves, so it's gone off of there.
Google actually is updating.
I don't know if
some
it's
of the
Google or Apple
stuff.
Maps, whichever one pops up first on the iPad. But yeah, when you zoom in on their actual imagery, it's got that totally gone.
Yeah.
So that's kind of nice.
road, that'd be great.
That's
Not your road.
Yeah, I don't know
I
what
own
made
in the
me think
middle
to
of
look
it.
at that,
Not
but
your road.
yeah, it's totally gone.
In
Yeah,
the
it's just
corner
green.
where, power gets taken. out,
Yeah,
there's
and
a
I keep
hole.
running over. the
Can they just wait that out?
Anything else on this one?
We're good.
Okay. Next one that I've got is, we've been talking about this one for a while. The southwest quadrant, Steph, if you could scroll. Thank you. Yellow block. So we've had a lot of discussions about the description, I guess, or potential uses that could occur in this quadrant, mostly concerning the yellow blob, which is the residential development district. Now, excuse me. The market analysis, when this was done, said that this location could have executive style housing, part of the Keystone District, et cetera, some park, storm retention space. However, I think it's gotten a little too stymied or narrow as far as the interpretation. This is from our prior planning director, Rachel. That email is also in your G drive if you want to take a look at it, where it sounds to me like this area was supposed to more so resemble a mix of higher quality townhomes, condos, single family, etc. But the description as such makes it sound like it is exclusively large lot single family. So we've had a lot of discussions about what should go here, and I think the reality is obviously that, especially on the Gaines property and his neighbor directly to the southwest, you're not going to get that kind of housing there. No one is going to build it. Now, maybe some multifamily or townhomes lining the highway. It is a very large arc of the highway, so we need to be cognizant of that. You know, I potentially think the Keystone District, that southern area could maybe serve along the highway as well. You know, maybe some mixed office, something like that, a flagship store, what have you. But I think this could be a start to giving some more flexibility in what seems to be a very rigid description of what is meant to go. Now, I wasn't here when this was built, but from what I can tell from talking to people who were on the steering committee, talking to you guys, talking with Rachel, I think that maybe this description is a little too exclusive.
I think even Craig Campbell, I think. Was
He
pretty-
did,
Yeah, he was pretty close to that too and said the same thing. That was not their intent to
Correct.
narrow it down.
So I
Hard to
can
see.
interject this kind of more so description. I'm happy to do that and then run it by you guys next month. And if you have any amendments or changes in that, I can very easily do that. But maybe just updating this to reflect a little more flexibility in that housing. And then, you know, if it comes up, I know Mr. Baines, like I said, has been pretty anxious to develop this property. You know, if it comes up that there are kind of some other uses besides residential, or, you know, we might not even need to change this, but if you come up with, and you guys can come up with a good enough argument as to why it's appropriate for the area, I mean, this is just a concept.
As long as he doesn't bring a warehouse.
That's what I.
I sound like yard.
really careful.
I
What
mean,
will you change it?
Right.
So I know we've got this corridor going through there to connect to 146, but
Uh-huh.
like the DR Horton proposal really didn't address that at all. And so you're looking for maybe a place for that to go through where it's not over the top of a bunch of houses.
Yes, so we have looked at having it come straight south and then go due west in some regard. That way it has access, because Jason has 130 some odd acres there from 38 to 69. So he's going to need to have access of, you know,
Well,
not just driveways, but a road.
So there's a property west of 600 that goes clear to 650, right?
Yes,
Filbert maybe down there.
I think it is over.
So if the thoroughfare plan gets updated, then this will
This
also
would
be
also
updated.
reflect that, right?
The RDC before, they'll have a lot of heartburn for us changing
Changing what?
that description. I agree with you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do you want
No
me
one's
to-
gonna build custom homes there. Michigan Gaines expressed that too. The RDC come back and said they spent all that time and money, they didn't want to change it.
Well,
I guess I'm saying, be ginger when you tell them how you want to change it.
do you want me to take this before the RDC? As far as I know, it doesn't have to.
It doesn't have to, but no.
But couldn't we leave it as it is modified by a recommendation? Should the right thing come along?
But yeah, I mean,
You could, yeah.
it almost needs to be future development. We don't know what to do with it.
Right.
Because it could be something even different than what we're thinking right
Well,
now.
we've turned down the junkyard, we've turned down the warehouses twice.
I mean, you know, if that's something where, you know, you're comfortable on that case by case basis, looking at any sort of development that comes in. What-
I don't recommend case by case. You need some kind of guidance by which you can approve or deny based on past what you have adopted at public meetings. So that when there is judicial review, what did you base this on? Did you just make it up, plan commission and town council? Well, no, we based it on this. So you don't have to change it. I'm not saying you have to change it, but you can't just say, well, if we like it.
That makes perfect sense. I thought we talked about a consultant.
I think we did, but I mean, if these are things that we can just, we don't have to take that step, and it, you know, I'm going off of what Rachel's email said, you know, that was what was discussed, and that seems to be the consensus. Now, if we want to have a consultant come in and completely look at anything other than housing, maybe that's something we could do.
But you're saying maybe keep it as a residential
Yes.
development district, but just
And just add these accoutrements.
so that we're not, yeah.
Yeah, so we have a more flexible style of zoning, or excuse me, housing abilities. And I believe she quoted the Saxony Village by
Mhm.
IU Hospital as a precedent.
But that
With
has some
the-
commercial in it, though.
Does it?
It's got stores and banks.
I mean, and if you look at that Keystone, that could easily be what that fits into.
More than likely, being by the interstate, that's why I think calling it strictly residential district, unless you update the definition. Say mixed use.
You could take that, maybe that Keystone area and kind of spread the blob along the highway, you know?
You dash it half Keystone color and half residential color over the whole thing.
I guess we can do that.
I mean, because we have no idea what's gonna go there. so.
Right.
Well, it's kind of that already because it's just a concept
Yeah.
that some part of it's going to be Keystone. Some
Right.
part of it's going to be residential.
Because this is not an exact line.
Yeah.
I think what I'm getting at is kind of to your point, Carol, is just adding the ability to use this as a backing in your description of why you were allowing, say, a multifamily development or something like that.
So
Can
like
you
some
come
of
up
the,
with some verbiage and let us look at it?
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna kind of add
Just
this,
that, I mean-
this bolded thing from Rachel to the description and finagle it a little bit.
I know we keep using Saxony, but you know, newer developments such as like that Fisher's district with the apartments, and the shops below.
Yeah.
Things more in that line.
I mean, so you could incorporate mix of townhomes, condos, single family and mixed use availability where appropriate. Would that be okay? Using a mixed use as a descriptor?
Some of that Carmel Midtown. Which is similar.
And I
to
know something
Fisher's
that,
district.
at least Mr. Gaines has approached me about is that people are interested in like a flex office slash like, not necessarily light manufacturing, but almost like techie startup kind of
They
things.
sure are.
It's not like an office, but it's not a lab, but it's not a manufacturing plant. It's just a flexible kind of space, and that's a really popular thing right now, so that's kind of a big excuse as well. You know? Yeah,
We do,
I mean, we
we do
certainly
have
have
a
that out
tech
there.
area.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought we had targeted that northeast
did.
quadrant for that.
Mhm.
we did.
Old city goods. Most as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
In the office.
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
don't know.
What do you think about the RDC though? Do we need to?
I mean, maybe that is something with
If we
them
could
where they can joint meeting or have a powwow or something, but
I think it makes sense to maintain synergy with them
Yeah.
Yeah.
so that we don't
Yeah.
become adversarial with regards to
absolutely.
proposals.
Yeah.
So I would recommend
And
probably a
if
joint
maybe
meeting.
their thought was that we're just thinking about changing that entire, everything about that quadrant, they realize that we're only making some adjustments to the verbiage, maybe they.
Right,
That
because the
would
whole
be-
concept of the area is not
Yeah.
necessarily changing. I
Changing,
think it
right.
just needs a little bit more clarity
Yeah.
with that. So, Jeff, how can we have a meeting between RDC? Maybe a public hearing?
There need to be a public hearing, this needs to be a breakdown.
It's something.
When
on
do
the
they
books.
meet usually?
Thursday.
Day after week.
First Thursday.
So we could look at an updated version of this next meeting and then the next day have RDC, go to RDC.
Yeah.
You could theoretically continue meeting next February meeting to the next time. Have to do that.
We just have to make sure the majority of us need to be there, or does that?
If you're gonna pass anything, if you're at,
I
you're the
think-
joint meeting, yes.
Yeah, I think the first thing we should do then is just have a discussion with them at their next meeting to figure out what is a good idea to change this verbiage to,
They're not meeting
what
tomorrow.
color or something. I
They're
don't
not
know if
meeting
they're meeting
tomorrow.
tomorrow. So in February, so I can kind
Yeah.
of take some of this and come up
Yeah.
with a couple mock-up ideas, and then
Yeah.
we can discuss that as a group together.
Too late.
And then move on to, you know, the vote on, because I know this quadrant has kind of been a thorn in all of our sides, because there's just some issues with it, not, you know, not to knock it or anything, but, you know, we might come to find that there are other quadrants where we need to do some stuff like this too, once we get developed. Who knows?
Well, it's a breathing document.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we will have a. On that one. Okay, well, that is all I have. Any comments on this one as far as?
Looking at the
Different
wall.
ideas?
See what time it is.
The one
It's
question,
not Going.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Really through.
the one question I have is we've talked the last couple meetings about the gateways into the city and putting together documentation that would give us better development standards on 38, 36, 9, 67. Where do we stand on getting some recommendations on that?
So I've been looking for overlays. Kyle sent me an example of a UDO from, is that Westfield?
Westfield.
Westfield's their overlay. So this is going to require, you know, changing our zoning map essentially. So we're gonna need a steering committee. We're gonna need experience on this. Probably a consultant, because I think with the standards that we have in place, with how stringent our zoning is on how things look and feel and what each zone is used for, it's gonna be a real booger to get something like this where it's actually effective. It can be done, but that's where we are right now.
So to move forward, to get a consultant, then you would need to have that presented to town council to approve and move forward, or?
Yes, they're gonna fund it.
Consultant fee, I would
We have a consultant.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't necessarily, as long as we have the money.
Because I just feel like, I mean, we need to keep this moving forward. I don't want to wait another meeting
It'd be
and then
interesting to
find
get
out.
somebody in here, because a lot has changed since COVID. There's so much office space sitting empty right now. Everything you're reading in the financial world, it's gonna go bankrupt.
Yep.
I don't think anybody's gonna be able to build office spaces for quite some time.
I mean, the other thing is if interest rates go back down, I mean, we're already starting to see redevelopment on 967. We've got the state highway department out there. So if we're gonna move, we need to move now to put any controls into the quality and design parameters
Right.
on the gateways in and out of the community.
And the
And my
state-
concern is if we wait go through a process that takes 12 to 24 months, at that point in time, we're gonna have pretty much everything anchored in and not derive any of the benefits.
That's why we need to put things on the book and expedite it as fast as we can. Because the state, they're in a mode of growing. And that's not gonna change. They're infusing billions upon millions into the state, the building industry. They want people to move here. They've got a whole division, pull people in. They've rebranded the state, so growth isn't stopping. So again, this is another part of being a head on it.
Well, we are looking to update our comp plan. That'll start in mid-February. So I'm almost wondering if this is something.
My concern is right now, in my opinion, the development we have going on here looks no different in any other interchange along I-69. I look at the buildings, I look at the style, I look at the setbacks. It looks like every other interchange go between here and Fort Wayne. And if we want to preserve any uniqueness or tie it at all to the historic center of the community, I mean, we've got to move now or we're going to miss the boat. I don't know if everyone else kind of shares that, but if you were to drive through the redevelopment, you know, we have the same retail development that every town the size of Wolf Lake up through, you know, the secondary cities has along 69. We look at the age of some of those structures out there as the growth and development and the opportunities continue to increase. You know, I think just like Swifty, gas station's gone, we've got another discounted retailer going.
And it's shaped the same as all the other ones.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen it painted yet, but the design shape is the same. And when we did that long process of garnering the data on prior to the UDO, why did you move here? People, quaint, charming,
Yeah.
historic, all those things will be gone. And however we can preserve those things, it's not to say everything looks old, but it does need to have some character to it.
I think it's character and
And-
quality.
Character, quality, but you know, sure, some buildings were made with nice materials, but it's the same look and design
It's the
as
same template that
other-
goes in.
all the others. And so just having some uniqueness when you pull up, you're not in anywhere USA. We're, you know, we are a historic town, and that really makes us special. It really truly does, and I will always stress that.
You'll solicit like an RFP for overlay update to the zoning.
Sure.
The next meeting also give us an estimated time frame for what it's going to take as you see it with your professional expertise, timing wise, to go through this process to make the modifications so that we understand what kind of window we're looking at.
Yeah, because there's so many steering committee meetings and public hearing. I mean, doesn't happen.
Anything else?
I feel from, whenever we have people in the audience that come, I feel accountability. That's what they're asking. We need to be really mindful about it. And I feel like it's just not personal preference. I feel that they're counting on us. Look at it over. I feel like really heavy.
And I think you see a lot of that in the social media postings. People making comments concerning the community, what they're wanting to preserve, what they value, the issues as they arise. So whether it be the surveys that were done, whether it be the public meetings, whether it be, you know, the ongoing discussions on social media, I echo your sentiments. They're expecting us to deliver upon those commitments and preserve the community.
Very similar to, you know, saving the cabin. Save it was moved. And people love that. The preservation of elements, future preservation of the bridge, another prime example. And we've got to continue that. But yes, thank you for bringing that.
All right, so I need you to vote on what they passed.
Yeah, before you do that, you might want to invite public comment, just for the record. Let's wait in a little bit. She's the only member of the public here, but we're the only online.
Nobody online, so.
Marissa?
Lynn, do you have any comments or questions?
Well, my commentary is. They want some. Come in here. Complain that they couldn't and bringing business, bringing jobs, they, for people here to work and not be driving all the way to Minneapolis. The interstate transportation. But, and you should have business and that on the interstate, they're not too far from town. Downtown will. And, you know, what you want to do is whatever the state you're doing it. And profitable. And, you know, that's in that quadrant when it's right along the edge. It's probably going to be, that's the kind of people who are going to get that. And shovel it down, with the jump over. They preserve the smallness of the town, but in order to have all the amenities want in a town, you gotta have a more tax base.
That's the problem a lot of the public doesn't understand.
And
They don't want any growth. They don't want any growth. They want all the fun stuff.
It's kind of like that. Not in my backyard. They want
I
to
mean,
build
they
a
want a
neighborhood.
Super Target, and
Yep.
a Walmart, and a Costco, and a Chick-fil-A. They don't want any more traffic.
It just keeps
Not my
falling.
to
job.
have that, you gotta have traffic.
And all the traffic that comes through this town goes all the way up 36 and it drives right on through there.
Yep.
Every morning and every night.
Yeah. And of course, we're looking at, so that it's all spaces empty, et cetera, but eventually, I think we'll fill it. People will go back to the office to some extent. But next to an interstate, if I have enough money, for a $1 million house, I'm not gonna pay money next to it. Or do I want to live on top of the interstate with its north? And if you can go out and buy a whole farm, another 10 to 20 miles down the road, put your house on it, and you have less money in it than if you're buying there.
Yep. And quiet.
Yeah. And so. Because studies by Walmart, yes, say people will only drive so far to get this. And if they have to drive further, they probably aren't gonna live there. So. Making the downtown. Gotta feel like the thought process of having anything want to exist in your.
The other biggest problem we have is we're so trapped downtown. There's no way to get through downtown other than that road. Got a prison on the south, we got an interstate wrapped around us, we got a railroad track, we got a creek. Nowhere else to build a road to get around town.
Just like a walled city in Europe. So, you know, that's what you're going to have to realize. Right, right now. But you're gonna have to see what. Stay here. Part of it is. Part of it is. Try.
Oh, that's 78%. at least. Yep.
So. I have clients out here.
Let's hope you're still alive.
But, you know, that's, if, I'm not concerned about where that road is. If you're gonna develop it, then let's not waste the real estate. I have a farming background. You know, if it isn't gonna be something else. It's the farmer. Yeah. So, yeah, it's nice.
Nobody would.
So. if you want to look at smaller houses, at least 3, or actually 5 acres. But there's gotta be a tree at least there. Park spaces, signs.
And I totally agree with you, but support those businesses takes more people.
Yeah.
Get more people, you gotta build more houses.
Right?
If nobody wants any more houses, so we can't have the houses, so we get the business.
Well,
Just reminds me of playing the pong. It's like, not on this side, not on that side.
They don't understand, if we build the houses, these businesses will come.
Right.
We'll fill these places in out here.
The other thing is. When you plus the high school, and they talk about the vast number of kids that were.
Enrollment.
People have to move in.
Well, we've got 600 transfers kids in school right now. You get the, and there's what, 10 rooms empty in every school? You kick those 600 kids out, that probably jumps up to 15 empty rooms in every building.
That's what I'm saying, the real population in the school. Seven. So, don't forget the other- And the other thing is, why is your small town fee? My view. It'll vary. Because otherwise, you very wealthy people, but if you want to have a mixture, small towns always have economic levels. You're going to have to do all kinds of houses. They've had a 5,000 square house. We can get it scarce.
Yep.
So they can want to have a smaller house. All age groups.
We've noticed that at Cary Glen, I don't know if the rest of you, there's a lot of
Older.
older people
Yeah.
that bought new homes at Cary Glen. Those ones
Well,
for.
I think Mike said that, you know, the number of kids in school in Carrot Glen is like less than 1 per household.
There's a lot of older
Sure
people
it is.
bought out there.
Well,
Yeah.
I think
So-
with the school, there's a trend change of parochial, private,
Yeah.
homeschooling. So I would love to know that number because there's a big shift. So I don't think it's having less children. I think it's a different choice and
Well, combination, I think.
you know, because
Yeah.
I think that I just know so many people that are homeschooling and have made other choices. But when you look at the traffic, that isn't necessarily Pendleton. That's all the peripheral or all the periphery driving into the school.
We get blamed for it.
Yes, absolutely, we do.
The biggest problem is we get blamed for all the traffic coming through town every time they build a house.
Yep.
our fault.
Yep.
We can't, I'm not saying it's bad, but we can't control that traffic. It's gonna get worse.
That's right.
It's gotten exponentially worse the last 3 years.
That's right.
If you sit in town, I drive around at 4 o'clock, that traffic's lined up almost
Yep.
back to the roundabout. At 4 o'clock.
Yep.
They change the clocks
Right.
because if you have a
They staggered them when their shifts got out.
Mhm.
Yep, and, you know, down, and or almost every house, at least 2 cars, not 3 car or 4 car. Statewide. Homeschooling, private schooling, people are having fewer kids.
Well, that's no doubt. But They're worried
And on
nation.
top of that, you have more and more divorced people now because those of them are earning. for Population.
The United States is in big trouble. You read a lot of studies on that. We're down to like 1.1 kid. We're not producing enough people to keep up with our jobs compared to other countries. It's a huge problem.
Plus the boomers are aging out of the workforce.
Yeah. You should have more kids.
Have 2, that's enough to replace, right?
You got more time. A little more water in the soup. You're all right.
Maybe
I'm
the
waiting on the white
boomers
picket
should
fence,
have
'cause I only have
given
one.
the next
How many kids
generation
you
more
got? You're the
money.
problem.
No.
AI and robots to take over. I'm cool with that. I don't need to have kids. Kidding me?
AI and robots.
Do all the jobs.
Okay, let's move on.
We do appreciate your comments.
Yes, thank you
Yeah.
very much.
I need
That,
to-
that is gonna be a booger of a corner down there.
Yeah.
It's gonna be really tough, because
Yeah.
we're gonna end up with retail, grocery store, hamburger chains, gas stations out front. And what fills in after, it's gonna be tough.
Well, and the thing is, that little restaurant out there, it's jail.
It's just gonna take 1 or 2 more things out there, it's gonna explode.
Vote now?
So we need.
Sure.
So
Give
we've
us
got
some
the
room on the
bike
agenda.
ped plan and the thoroughfare plan. And the 2.
Yes. Like that.
Is that a motion, Carol, or?
That was a motion.
That was a
I'd like to make a motion to approve the
I have a
changes.
motion and a second to approve the changes and adoptions to the thoroughfare plan as noted and discussed. All those in favor,
And-
please say,
And the bike.
and the bike
bike.
path.
Bike ped plan. Both.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Thank you.
What are you turning sweaty?
Stephanie, did you get all that?
Thanks, guys. That's all I have. Anything else?
Anything else?
I think I
Well,
heard
we'll
her
go-
We'll
talk
meet on the
about it
7th.
on the 7th.
We'll meet on the
We can
7th.
maybe go visit.
We'll
them
have to
early.
meet on this, our other
Yeah.
business.
Take a
Why don't we
second
invite,
appearance.
can we invite them to our meetings? We just have one meeting, so I go to,
That'd be
Yes.
awesome.
invite them to our
Yeah,
meeting.
if they don't have them.
That might be a crowded meeting though.
We got one there.
February.
You'll have-
We'll have-
Oh,
Working group.
We can take a recess if we're gonna leave.
Yep.
Huh?
We can take a recess if we're gonna leave.
Yeah, but they're gonna have to wait through the whole.
For too long.
Yeah.
No more questions or comments?
Nope.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.